more.
So what's the relation between calibration and trustworthy AI or trustworthy machine learning? So does a model have to be well calibrated so that we can trust it?
That's a great question. Well, let's go back to weather forecasting. I always like to go back to simple examples because I want to understand the simpler examples before they are more complicated. So, interestingly, often weather forecasts are deliberately slightly miscalibrated. And they, for the following reason, because people tend to be, if you forecast rain and it doesn't rain, and it's not because they like sunshine more than rain, but if people prepare for rain and it doesn't rain, that has a certain cost. If people prepare for sun and it rains, that has a certain cost. Those costs are not the same. Now, there is a scientific way of dealing with that because you set your threshold slightly away from 0.5. But actually, weather forecasters are a little bit patronizing, and they say, well, you're going to set your threshold at 0.5. So instead of you telling you to change your threshold, I'm going to change my probabilities so that your 0.5 is still at the... So they basically are a bit, I think they are a bit pessimistic with rain. So that you... If you know that, does that lead you to trusting the weather forecaster less? Well, not necessarily. But, you know, initially you think, well, why you're pessimistic? Why are you doing this? And then if there's a reason, then you can sort of say, okay, now I see why you're doing that. So I need to maybe adjust your predictions a little bit to match my scale. So I think trustworthiness has a lot to do with narratives, with stories, because I think humans are storytelling machines. That's how we understand the world. So I just told you a story why somebody who is slightly miscalibrated might do that for particular reasons, and then you either agree with those reasons or not. So I think there is a link. If some algorithms are very poorly calibrated, like naive Bayes makes all these unrealistic assumptions. So, you know, we know you can't trust the probabilities coming out of naive Bayes, but we also know how to adjust them. So I would say if you're poorly calibrated, then either you need to buy into the story why you are maybe deliberately miscalibrated, or you need to post-calibrate something. So there is a link with trustworthiness, but in the end, I strongly believe, why do I trust my GP or my surgeon? You know, I just had surgery and they said, oh, we found this, we opened you up, we found this, we were worried about this, we did this. How can I trust this? I'm not a medic. I don't know whether that's the right thing to do, but I trust. I've seen this surgeon operate before. I know that they came out of a particular education system. They've been certified, they've been vetted. So for me, there's a story which induces trust, and not necessarily the pure explainability, because maybe the surgeon explains something to me and it doesn't make any sense to me because I'm not a medic. I don't have the same education. So maybe the surgeon can explain the story at a different level for me, but it's still a story, right? So I think that's very important because we are at the receiving end of the trust. We need to trust the algorithm, and so we need to be comfortable. We need to understand the context. We need to understand what could go wrong. We need to understand what is done in the case that it goes wrong, and I think that engenders trust. So I think calibration is a small part of it, but not the whole story.
So you